Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Friday. It's October the 25th. This will be our chart lesson today. It's been kind of a really quiet, rangy kind of day. We've really been in a range since the open this morning, and it's only about 3 points, so there's not much room here. I did see it, what I see perceived to be a channel here. Um, Extend this on out a little bit. You can see. Make sure I got this line back. Yeah, it's close enough. Um, I saw a channel here, an equal distance channel, kind of a median line. We did get a break, and we're trying to make a retest, but you just can't ignore. I mean, I've been trading this today like it was a trading range, and it's only about 3 points. So, once we made this high here, that was kind of the same as this previous double top here, and then came down and bounced here again. Then, I was looking at it kind of a strong support, but a range once we hit this right here. Um, we traded up into this range, so the bias is kind of upward. Notice I don't have any sales. There really was no reason to sell, and until you maybe started considering selling over here, but you still don't even have a new high after this trend channel break. Even if you just saw this as a spiking channel, which maybe it is, and then this is just going to be two legs of correction and then sell off. That could be the case. But I'm thinking we probably got a bigger channel here because prices did respect this line really well, and we got a little bit of a break, and then we're trying to make a high. But the best way to trade this is just look at this as a range, and there's really kind of a median line right in the middle of this range on top of, along with that. And this is probably more down here like so at this point, um, because those were your last closes. I never moved that down, but and this is kind of your median line. And you can see how on both sides it was acting as resistance, then it was acting as support, and then it started acting as resistance, and then it kind of hung in the middle, went higher, came back down. It acted as resistance, got back above, and acted as support. So there's no doubt that's kind of a median line right there, right along that area, and it's close enough probably. Let's just see, if it's an equal distance. It looks like it is, but you never know. And look at there, exactly a perfect equal distance between those two. And you know, with enough experience, you don't even have to use these lines. I always put them on there because you'd be surprised at how much clearer it makes everything. But with time, you can glance at this and find, and you'll see these lines before you ever put them on your chart. And that's generally the case. I can just kind of glance at the chart and spot these things. But that's because of experience, and with more time and experience, if you're not able to do that, you will be able to do that. So just keep that in mind. Before we talk about the trades, I did want to say that I had a little snafu with the video yesterday. I left here with it uploading, and when I got in this morning, somebody sent me an email and asked uh, you know, if everything was okay because there was no video yesterday, and there was a video, but for whatever reason, um, there was some kind of processing error on YouTube. I've had that issue a couple of times, but usually I don't leave before it uploads. But yesterday, it always uploads and there's no problem. There's no reason to hang around while it's uploading in most cases. But usually I'm not gone by the time it uploads, and there's never an issue. And this time I leave while it's uploading, and I come back in this morning and there was some kind of processing error at YouTube. But I've noticed that's happened a couple of times lately, and so I'd have to upload it a second or third time for whatever reason. So I don't know if it's something on my end or something on the YouTube's end or whatever. But needless to say, the video was done and done early yesterday, but for whatever reason, there was an issue with it processing at YouTube and it failed. And I didn't realize that until early this morning. So in between my trades, I re-uploaded it and got it up. So the video that's already uploaded today is yesterday's video. And just in case there's any doubt, and I'll upload this one today, so you'll get two videos today basically. So, but let's talk about the trades. There's not a lot of them today. Just not much to talk about really, other than, actually I meant to circle this little area right here and kind of in lavender. But let's talk about what I saw and then go from there. Notice that you're moving up here. You've got a new low, a first entry short, a pullback, a second entry short. I believe you would have got a scalp here, but notice this is kind of how a spiking channel will start. You'll move up and you'll get a little bit of congestion, and and if you draw a line across there, across those closes and then across these, you may not have been able to find. That's pretty tough for somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience. But needless to say, it was a new low, it was a first entry short, a pullback, a second entry short, and I think this second entry short might have actually, your entry would have been 48. So it's not really a failed second entry short, but it's close enough. It looks like one because then it turns back up. So I like going long here. You were better off to wait on this bar. And that's when I drew this line across. I actually was already looking at it because of those closes, but then when we had the same thing right here, I just drew my line there, and this looks like a bounce off of a possible trend line. Biggest thing is we tried to go lower twice, and instead you get a big bullish bar right here. And but you want to wait on a break of this bar, which happened here, and then try to get in this with a limit order. And you can see prices broke above this bar. So to enter on a stop, you had to enter way up here at 49 and a quarter, and your stop has to go way down here at 46. That's 3 points. That's too large. So come back here to maybe one tick, because really the second entry or the failure triggered right above this bar right here. So try to come back and get your stop right there again, which is 48 and a quarter. And then that gets you in, as you can see, just enough to get below your signal bar and have your 2-point stop. And what happened when prices broke above? They did come back all the way back down, and you got just enough to be able to enter that with a limit order. And maybe you might even try to not be quite that conservative. A lot of times I like to use the stops or the closes where the last close was, which is right there, right across here. But the problem with that is it's still too big. So you got to get inside the 2 points. So that was the only hiccup about entering that trade. It should have worked if you tried to take it, and it was an easy trade. Guess what? Any stops would have survived, and you could have ridden this all the way to the top. You probably would have wanted to exit on this double top or somewhere in all this chop here, because this is just a trading range. You can see that we had a little tight trading range. You got a chance to enter right here on a real close to the lows. It was a little shaky because it almost came back. It actually did come back and tick lower, but guess what? Then it just bounces right off that same support area and goes on higher. So as long as you had your stop down here where it's supposed to go, no problems. It's a second entry. Notice the new high, pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry. You could look at it like a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. So you could look at it like another second entry short. And you might have thought about even going short right there. But guess what? The trend is all up from there. Your EMA is all up. You can't go short right there. That short actually might have been good. Your entry would have been 50-50. And this definitely made it. So if you'd taken that short, it would have worked. But it's just it's too risky going short in a move like that. And trying to pick tops and bottoms will get you every time. And you can see it wasn't long. This thing was rocketing up another level. And my phone was just ringing off the hook. I apologize. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. So many, my cell phone's ringing, my office phone's ringing, everything I got's ringing. But nice chance to go long. And then guess what? When it breaks out of this little trading range, it fails. That's typically what happens. It comes down, it finds support here. There's not really a good setup here coming back because we just failed out the top, so there's a good chance it could fail out the bottom. It does fail out the bottom, but the reason I don't notice this is a first entry. It's a terrible bar, and then by the time this closes, you got 3 overlapping bars. A couple of them are dojis. There's no reason to go long, and you don't want to go short right there because guess what? There's a good chance it's going to break out and fail and come right back, especially as many times as it's bounced right there. And see, they trapped a few people trying to get long down here. You got to wait on the right setup. You might have thought about going long there, but if you're following this little channel, there's your first break. You really didn't close outside until here. Then it pulls back and tries to test it and then goes higher. So, and this is a second entry too. Notice this high is higher than these. So there's a new high right there. It pulls back first entry, pull back second entry. It's a double bottom. You got this trend line. Every reason in the world to like that trade. Quick, easy scalp. I hate it. I didn't get any runners out of it, but it's a quick, easy scalp. And I circled this in the lavender color because there's no reason. You might have thought about looking for a breakout pullback long here or a second entry long, but look at that bar right there. There's 3 overlapping bars. This one's a doji. This one looked pretty good, but that's, you might have thought about trading that on a breakout, and it would have worked, but if you had your stop 1 tick higher, you would have got stopped out before it worked. So again, there's no reason to be looking for shorts yet. So you just can't go short in there. And then by the time you get a chance to go long on a second entry, look what you got to go long above that ugly bar. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overlapping bars. And guess what? It goes higher and it pulls back. And it just traps everybody. And then it goes short. But you can't be going short. Even on a trap here, you can't go short because the odds are it's going to hit that line and go up. And even though it broke out, it still went higher. And then the first chance you got to really get a good long, and you might have thought about going long right here. And if you did, that's probably okay. But, that's a first entry. Notice you got a new high, pull back first entry. It's the first break of this channel. Look how flat you just don't want to be going long. And this is a trading range of what normally happens. It snaps back, and that's what did happen. So if you went long there, I think it was really risky. I don't like it, but it would have worked. And you might have had to, ride out some of this pullback, but it would have worked. But the first opportunity I saw that I liked going long was here. And the only reason I like this one is notice this. You got a new low here. Prices start correcting. First entry. Pull back second. You got a second entry trap. It goes up. I would have liked it better if it went out on the same bar, but it didn't. But it tried to go lower here and then closed on its very high, bouncing right off the EMA, right off the trend line. The last few bars have all closed basically above this trend line, above this. So I like that trade, but that was the first chance you got to go long. Easy scalp, and guess what? It turns down again. And then you get a sure enough break. This was really good enough to be a break of the trend line, but they came back down and tested this, and now it's looking like a trading range. It's not really looking like a channel, but it's still acting the same rules. You get the break, and now you're trying to go make a new high, and that's what it's trying to do. And there may even be another equal distance channel over here, and look, I'm guessing there probably is. You can see that those are all about equal distance, so you can't ignore that. For whatever reason, you're finding these equal distance geometric things here, and really overall it looks like a trading range day to me. But needless to say, I like that long, and then I didn't like coming short off this because I was looking at this as a channel at the time. It looked more like a channel, channel. Even though it's starting to look like a trading range, it looks more like a channel than it did anything else at that point. And you couldn't, you didn't have a new high yet. So you don't want to be going short there. And you got a second entry here. If you got a second entry with a good bar, you might have thought about it there. But you don't get a second entry till down here, and guess what? You can't go short down here where all the support is, because really this had moved up at that point. And look what happened to anybody that went short there. They got trapped. And then guess what? You get another. I like this one not because I had this line, because I didn't even have that line on there, but it's there. You can see it's a perfect equal distance. But I like this one because it was a failed break out of the low of this stuff, and that had been working all day long. And again, it was another good trade. Any runners were safe, and you could still be in that long trade. You got a failed second entry short right here. Notice this new low. You're coming up. First entry short, pull back. You get a second entry short, and it kind of fails, and then you get a chance to go long right there. When it broke above this bar, and notice there's a failed second entry both ways actually. You got a new high here, first entry, pull back, second entry, and that's what I was really looking at, the failed second entry, counting off the highs, because you started making higher highs and higher lows here. So a great chance to go long on a failed second entry, and really if you're counting even off the highs, there's a second entry long above that bar, because notice it goes up, it pulls back, and then you get another break. And so you could have entered in either place there. I really liked entering here first, because by the time it got to this one, then you got all these overlapping bars and some dojis, and then then there's questionable, because you know it's going to snap back, but it still would have worked. And look what happens. It snaps back right to that area, and then it goes higher. And that's why you can't enter. But so there's really two entries there, and you probably could have taken that one too because of the trap. But thinking back about it, if I hadn't have entered here, I doubt I would enter here because of what I just described there. And then that was it. That was almost 1 o'clock, and that was the last thing I saw today. And, it's just one of those quiet Fridays. And this thing could rocket out of here the last 30 minutes and go 30 points higher, because that's not uncommon. But generally, I think it's probably going to close as a quiet Friday with prices in another tight trading range. I mean, like I said, the whole entire day has not been much more than 3 points. So it's just not, it's hard to make money like that. And you got to be careful and, mostly look to enter on the highs or the lows, and there weren't really that many chances to enter off the highs. You could have entered here, but you got to wait on a second entry in most cases, especially if it's counter trend, which this was, and so you don't get a second entry till here. And on this one, you don't get a second entry till here, but look at all those dojis and overlapping bars. It is at the high of the, it's at the strong resistance where sometimes it's okay to enter out of congestion, but you never really got a real good trap until here. And then you got to enter here, and there's just not enough room back. There's not much room there before getting back to the EMA. You really would, unless you had this line, which I did, and I was looking more at the EMA. And I just didn't like this because the bias is up. And you notice I didn't have many shorts today at all because the bias was up. All the good trades were off, were going long. Doesn't mean that there weren't good trades to the short side, but hopefully you understand why we weren't that interested in them. So that's what I saw today. Again, I apologize about yesterday's video. I was telling people to go look at it. It's not, it wasn't even out there. So I apologize to those that I did that. But go look at it today because it's there. And so today, if you're not going anywhere on your Friday night and you want to study, you got 2 charts to study tonight. Or if you like to do your studying over the weekend, well, guess what? This weekend you got 2 charts that you can study that you may not have had a chance to look at yet and compare your work to. But that's what I saw. It's been a pretty good week, really, this week of trading. This market continues to try to work higher, and it was weak today, but it's still working higher, and we're probably going to close. Looks like we'll probably close up today, and that's a good thing for, overall, I would say. But I'm going to wrap it up, and hope everybody had a good trading week. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll come back and do this again on Monday. And so we'll see you next time. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com.